there was a lot of that kind of assistance, luckily.
What about the school board?
Two points. One is that I want to put a plug in also for Americans United for Separation of Church and State. If you go online, if you've never heard of the organization, you go online. For me, and I would guess for most of the people here, it's a wonderful organization that's constantly fighting for separation of church and state. They have a terrific newsletter that comes out every month. The head of it is Reverend Barry Lynn, who's one of my idols and probably one of yours, I would guess. So I suggest go online and look into the organization. It's terrific. On a personal level for you, Matt, can you share some of the emotions that you went through during that period of time? I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm getting angry just listening, even though it was a success to an extent. But I'm just wondering some of the emotions that you felt during that period, the whole period that you went through this.
I could try. It's so tough to describe because there were so many different things going on. There were points where I really felt down. I think the hardest part was the day that we had that meeting in the principal's office. And I still don't know quite why. Because again, as I said, I knew what he was doing was wrong. I knew that what he did in the classroom was wrong. But he seemed very hurt. And I don't like to do that. I don't like to hurt people. Another tough part, obviously, was going to those Board of Education meetings, because there were about 200 people that would show up, and maybe 20, maybe 10 of them supported me, and the rest that came supported the teacher strongly. They would even yell at speakers while they were talking. Somebody who would come to speak for me, they would yell, they would scream, they would hold up their signs. And that was really tough, but there were also times where I would have to laugh my head off because it was just so ridiculous. Well, when I look back on it, there are so many things that had to go totally wrong for me to be here today talking about this. First thing would be that the teacher would have to have never been challenged by anybody for the past 14 years. Second, he would have to actually be saying these crazy things. I would have to record it. The principal would have to back him up. The superintendent would have to back him up. Board of Education backed him up. And the Board of Education also passing the policy. It's just there were so many things that went horribly wrong. And so it was a good experience and a bad experience, but for the most part I think it was a growing experience. And in a sense, growing experiences have a little bit of both, I guess you could say. So, but for now, it's still a little bit difficult. But I realize that I have 4 months left in high school. I'm going to be moving out. I'll be doing something else. And so I guess definitely it was all just so worth it.
What is that stuff?
You have a comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if there's any political movement afoot to replace some of these school board members who are obviously not supporting you and not supporting the separation of church and state. And is there any grassroots movement within your community to try and replace these people with people who don't believe that dinosaurs were on Noah's Ark, or at least if they believe that, are willing to keep that belief private?
If there is, it's underground, because I really know of nothing like that. But it's definitely clear that the Board of Education, whether they support his views or not, they were willing to support him for what he did. But one other thing I did forget to mention, this always happens at Q&A. I always forget things that I don't mention during the speech because there's so much. But one board member, after we had settled, well actually during the settlement, when they came to vote on our agreement, one board member voted no on the agreement. And up to this point, they said, we speak as a board of education, we speak as a whole. Well, after this agreement had passed, this one board member came out publicly and called me an opportunist and called my parents opportunists. And that was really tough. So I went to the next board meeting, and gave him a little talking to. But that was public. I did it at a public board meeting. Because, I don't mind if my teacher or this board member believes these things that dinosaurs were Noah's Ark, and according to this that is recently broke, they also breathed fire. If they want to believe that, I really have no problem with that. If you want to talk about it with me, that's fine. But the fact that he was doing it during school in a public classroom, that's where the problem really was. And I would like to see some group from our town that would do something like that to get people on the Board of Education who understand the law and understand separation of church and state, but I don't see it happening, and that one board member is running for re-election this coming term, so we'll see what happens.
What were your academic implications? What happened to you? How does teacher grade you? And where are you going to go on to? And also, who was behind the 200 people coming out against you? Was there some organization that they belonged to that
well,
organized?
to answer your first question, I think he did grade me pretty fairly. I don't think he tried to slip anything under. He probably realized he was been watching too carefully by the department head, who during this whole situation, I have to say the department head did agree with me, but again, nothing really too public about that. But really, I see myself just going on to college and participating in one of these groups that I've gotten to know, whether it's Americans United or Center for Inquiry or both. I'm actually involved I'll be involved pretty soon in two groups right now. I've been asked to be the president of Center for Inquiry's national youth organization, which I'll take on, and I'm now on the board of directors for the Secular Student Alliance, so I'm going to be keeping busy. But to answer your third question, I think we all know where the support came from. Mr. Paskevich is also a Baptist preacher in my town. And a lot of the people who were there were wearing the shirts from that church. My guess is that that's where most of the 200 people came from. After all this, by the way, if anybody's interested, I brought my recorder, which I actually, that's the one I used, but also...
Are you recording this?
No. It's okay, don't have to worry about that. But I have some short clips of some of the things that were on the TV, as well as some of the a little bit of the recordings that I made during the classes and the principal's office. So if anybody's interested, after all this, we can go back there. Sure, I can do it now if that's okay. It's back there. So
Do it now. Everyone's interested in hearing it. I think no longer. It's all right.
Okay, cool. So I'll just go set it up. I just have one button to press.
So, one question.
Question. I see. Sorry. I see it.
So, was there a reason why, following up on Richard's thing, it sounds like maybe the most appropriate thing would have been to sue to get this teacher fired. And I wonder whether that was an option. And I guess that my second question, which maybe you sort of answered in a way, is if you've ever thought about what motivates this teacher and these people to have acted the way they did, because, assuming they're normal people, have you ever tried to get behind their heads, how can he be saying these things with a straight face? And do you have any sense of what could be driving that in any sort of self-consistent fashion?
Well, the first thing, as far as suing the teacher to get him fired, I don't think that would have accomplished too much.